Matt Peiken here with the Wake Up Podcast, and I have a confession to make. I don't live in your city. I produce this newscast from all the credible sources of journalism and the reporters who make up your local media landscape. I try to get the names of people and places right, but once in a while, I'll mispronounce something. So I want you to set me straight so I don't repeat the mistake. If you hear anything amiss or just want to send feedback on the show, email me at editor@wakeupthenews.org. All right, on with the news. Wake up, Pittsburgh. Matt Peiken here. Thanks so much for tuning into your local newscast for Tuesday, March 10th. A new statewide report finds Pennsylvania school leaders are grappling with rising costs that outpace funding, especially for charter schools and special education. The 2026 State of Education report from the Pennsylvania School Board Association says 67% of administrators cite charter tuition as a major budget pressure and 54% point to special education costs. Since 2013, charter payments have risen 109% and special education costs 67%, with limited new state and federal funding to match. The report also highlights staffing shortages and growing use of artificial intelligence in classrooms. Read more about this in the Post-Gazette. Mayor O'Connor is rolling out a plan to overhaul the city's permitting and zoning process following a 60-day review launched in his first days in office. He says the changes aren't just for large developments, but for homeowners, community groups, and small businesses. The first phase includes a fast lane service for quicker approvals, more over-the-counter permits, clearer checklists and fee guides, and exploring artificial intelligence to flag incomplete applications. O'Connor also plans updates to the zoning code to remove outdated rules and simplify language, aiming to encourage affordability and growth. Read more about this in the Business Times. Some Pittsburgh area business owners report facing backlash for speaking out against U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. In February, a coffee shop owner east of the city says anti-ICE posts led to threatening voicemails and messages. Oakmont Bakery also faced criticism and harassment after it didn't publicly oppose ICE following an employee's detainment. Brentwood bookstore owner Lizzie McCoy posted alerts about ICE activity and wrote, quote, "ICE out of Pittsburgh." She says some followers unfollowed her. ICE arrests in the region have climbed to nearly 950 since President Trump resumed office, more than triple the same period in 2024. Read more about this at Pittsburgh Public Source. Nurses at UPMC Magee Women's Hospital are proposing enforceable limits on how many patients each nurse can care for at one time, as part of their first contract talks since unionizing. The plan follows national standards for women's health and neonatal care. Labor and delivery nurse Mariah Park said the goal is more time with patients, adding, quote, "More often than not, Magee does not follow national staffing standards." UPMC says fixed ratios could reduce flexibility and limit access to care. If approved, Magee would be the first UPMC hospital in Western Pennsylvania with such caps. Read more about this in the Post-Gazette. And the Penguins are working to shrink their carbon footprint by buying and retiring local forest carbon credits. The team partnered with Pittsburgh-based EQT and the Allegheny Land Trust to offset emissions dating back to the 2024-25 season. The credits come from more than 270 acres already protected in Elizabeth Township, Sewickley Hills, and Butler County. Allegheny Land Trust President Carrie Gilbert says protecting forests is, quote, "one of the most effective climate strategies we have." Read more about this at WESA. Our free newsletter is a quick local news digest, essentially this newscast in written form. Subscribe at wakeuppit, that's PIT.transistor.fm. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Wake Up Pitt. And please share this podcast with your friends who care about this city. I'm Matt Peiken. Thanks so much for starting your weekdays with Wake Up Pittsburgh.